Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome back to Chat and Channel Session. In today's session, we're going to be discussing the process of how your relationships tend to shift and grow and change as you spiritually evolve, heal, or expand your consciousness, because this is a big topic and this is a process that we seem to go through over and over again on the spiritual journey through different levels and layers. We're also going to be talking about what happens if you're called to give people space or take space away from people as you are navigating your spiritual journey, or perhaps a dark night of the soul, ego death, or Duat process in your growth and expansion in life. But before we deep dive on all of those processes, let me welcome back my current subscribers and returning subscribers. I am so thankful to all of you, and also to those of you who have become or are considering becoming a paid subscriber here at Chat and Channel Session, which is available on Anchor Podcasts or Spotify Music, so that you can get at least one extra channeled message or meditation per month for that low monthly cost. There are details for that on Spotify and Anchor Music if you are interested. For those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Danielle, #damsel at D's Enlightened Edits of Damsel Designs. That's DAMCLdesigns.com, helping you to tap into, connect the dots, and understand all the aspects of spirit, yourself, and the divine design. I am a psychic medium, spiritual empowerment and consciousness coach, as well as quantum Sikhem and shamanic energy healer, writer, energy artist, and so much more. And this is Chat and Channel Session. In these sessions, my spirit guides, and in some cases some of you, suggest a topic and we do a stream of consciousness channeling on that topic. If you would like to participate in the chat portion of Chat and Channel Session, you can join me during the live premieres of the podcast weekly on my YouTube channel uploads, or provided that you are not driving or operating heavy machinery, of course, you can also leave a comment, a question, or review at any time, or my favorite way for you all to participate, which is by getting out a journal and doing some stream of consciousness writing along with me as I am channeling. For those of you who tap in and do this, whether it's through an old-fashioned journal or the notes app on your phone or favorite device, you often find that you can tap into the higher aspects of consciousness and start to receive information that's more pertinent and relevant and specific to you from your own spirit guides, soul, and teams. So I hope that you enjoy that process on this listening, or when you cycle back and come around again, as this timeless topic has the potential to help you in many other timelines as well. So with all that being said, let us get started and jump right back into today's topic. As I said, as we navigate the spiritual journey and go through this process of evolution, our biggest teacher tends to be the mirroring of people in our lives from our relationships. And whether those are friendships, family relationships, colleagues, or romantic partners, all of those things are generally supposed to grow and shift and change with us. I'm sure that you've heard the term people are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Now, when we also incorporate the concept of soul family and soul contracts and karma into all those other aspects, it starts to make a lot more sense, right? Some people are in your life for a specific reason, perhaps a karmic reason or a karmic rebalancing. Our soul contracts help us to understand why we have agreed to be in each other's lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. However, I've personally found that as we are continuing to awaken as individuals and with the 100th monkey effect as a collective society, consciousness is expanding so much, with so many people awakening to different aspects of spirituality or of their own own gifts, that we tend to go through things in this one lifetime that we generally used to have to learn over the course of many lifetimes if you are a believer in the multi-lifetime concept, which you do not have to be for this to make sense and help you. But in essence, it's why we tend to feel like something that we did 10 years ago was another lifetime ago, right? Because it can technically be that on an energetic level. We can go through so many phases in life. But the difficulty when we translate this into our relationships is that we tend to put a lot of obligation on the definition of relationships, of what they are, have to, or are dreadedly supposed to be, right? We tend to want to assign everyone into that comfort category of being in our lives for a lifetime, especially if those people are family members or romantic partners. Our brain and sometimes our hearts immediately want to go into that categorization for people because it implements a sense of safety and control to think, oh, I found you again, or you're this type of person to me, and this type of person is supposed to be around forever. And we tend to get so attached to that lifetime aspect of people and trying to force them to be in our lives for lifetimes, or feeling quite guilty if our growth or their growth becomes so different that it no longer is very resonant to be in each other's lives for a lifetime, or to be in each other's lives for a lifetime in the way that we once envisioned it or are taught that it is supposed to be, right? So this could apply very well for things like family relationships. You could have thought that family is forever, or you could have been taught that family is forever and you're supposed to see each other or talk every single holiday. But if you're, let's say, the black sheep of the family, or the one that's really, really well tuned in to the traumas or abuses or dysfunctions or toxic type relationships or patterns that are involved in a family, and if perhaps in this lifetime or in this aspect you're more committed to healing those things and stopping those patterns than the other people in your family currently are or are currently capable of, it may not necessarily be healthy or relevant for you to continue to involve yourself in that aspect of family. It may not be healthy for you to be in family relationships for that entire lifetime, or at least it may not be healthy for you to continue that dynamic in the same expected way. This also applies for romantic partners, right? Sometimes we try to assign them, whether it's under the term soulmate or twin flame, as, okay, you're my lifetime person now. I've seen many, many deeply connected, spiritual, heart-based, soul-loving relationships that realistically are involved in the lifetime for a reason or a season in terms of that deep romantic or sexual connection, and then perhaps are involved in the rest of the lifetime for a different reason, for a friendship or a co-parenting relationship, rather than that deep, fiery relationship passion that it once romantically was. And the transition process from the definition that we initially put on something and continuing the relationship to however it is best to be as you both grow in different resonances can be immensely difficult for the heart and soul to deal with and to grieve that process, because however our attachment style is, or however our beliefs are about that relationship, can take an adjustment period to transition into the next phase of life or relationship. Now, this isn't to say that there aren't lifetime and forever relationships for people, because there most certainly are, but this can apply to anything. It can apply to best friendships and different types of soul family friendships and relationships as well, right? Any time that we are called to redefine a relationship, we need to be able to grieve the definition and attachment that it once was, and the people that we each once were that entered into and tried to cement the soul contract of that type of relationship, and be able to go into that grieving process and expand and enjoy and celebrate the rebirth process of its next phase. Sometimes we can do that together, and it's so wonderful when we can. And sometimes people need a little bit of space to decide if they are ready to redefine and continue the relationship, or if it's completed its journey and it's perhaps done, which is another type of grieving. And the difficult thing about this is no matter who you go to, no matter if you are, let's say, psychically in tuned or not, or if you come to someone like me for a session or not, no one can realistically for sure tell you in this in-between process, in this liminal space of giving each other time and space to grow and see whether you're going to redefine and expand the relationship into a next phase or not. No one can really tell you for sure if and when it's done, because that has to be a decision of yours and the other person's. And because it is something that we have to respect each other's soul sovereignty and free will choices, sometimes that decision is made by one of the two people in the relationship. And if both people do not choose for the relationship to continue and honor and respect each other's growth processes, then it simply will not continue. Not in this lifetime or in this consciousness level or plane of reality, at least. And that is something, again, that has to be dealt with and understood, and then to be mourned and make room in your life for the next person that can meet you at your level, because people do grow at different levels and different rates of time and space, and not everyone is committed to the same type of growth that you are. And you may not necessarily be ready for the same type of healing or growth that the other person is. People do grow in different directions sometimes, and that's okay. It's all about the journey and the process of learning to respect this again and seeing how we can better respect ourselves as well as the other in terms of when something is not working, and also as we grow up the spiral of these lessons, how we can better end relationships as well, how we can consciously uncouple, whether we are a romantic couple with that person or a friendship with that person or not. Now, I know a lot of things tend to happen in today's day and age in terms of ghosting and separating without consciously or verbally acknowledging what's going on. And I have been guilty of that myself at times. I've been on the receiving end of that. It does not feel good, but depending on the type of communication style that you or the other person is currently capable of, sometimes people feel like that's the only choice, like that's the only option. I would, however, say if you are in a process where you are being ghosted, go into this other process that I've been talking about in some of the previous chat and channel sessions, which is try not to assign that meaning. When we are in a process where we're wanting to hear from someone and we're not hearing back, the answer isn't always that the relationship is ending or that they are consciously trying not to speak to us. Sometimes it's not really about us. Sometimes it's not even about the relationship. And it is about this process that we mentioned a little earlier of giving people space. So if you can go into the energy healing technique that we've been discussing in some other chat and channel sessions about not assigning things meaning as they are happening and just giving it up to higher power to define for you from a higher and more loving perspective, then you can more easily move through that phase, whether it is a ghosting phase or whether it's this other aspect where sometimes people really do just need time and space to themselves. And if and whenever you're spiraling in these thoughts and feelings that you can't help assigning meaning to, check out the chat and channel session from a few weeks ago called Stop Assigning Meaning to Thoughts and Events. I am sure that that will help you out. If you are the one who can't seem to get back to people, or if you're going through a growth or healing phase on either side of the spectrum or fence of this issue, I encourage you to also reach out to someone to get help during this time and perspective, and be in touch with someone who can lovingly and informatively hold space for and with you. Someone like myself, or a therapist, mentor, or another trusted friend or family member who can be there for you at this time. Because growing on your own is not always the healthiest thing to do. Please do get help if and when you need it, but it is something that does tend to happen a lot on the spiritual journey process. Sometimes we go through these incubation phases and periods and modes of healing where it just feels better not to talk to anyone, because we're relearning that process of listening to ourselves, to our own souls, to our own bodies, and to our own connections with higher power. And eventually, hopefully, we get better at this, where we can communicate, hey, I'm just not really in a talking mood right now, or I'm in this phase, I'm doing something with my healing and I can't really talk at the moment. But sometimes we're just not in that phase, and we just need to shut out the world and go within. This is why it's been popular over millennia for people to be monks or nuns, or go on spiritual retreats or hiking quests, or, sit up in the mountains or in caves for a while. And while hermit mode is not always the healthiest thing to do, it is an important aspect of the spiritual journey. So if you're on the spiritual journey, even if the other person in your life's journey doesn't necessarily meet your definitions of spirituality, be willing to give someone time and space, because they may be in an aspect of this, or they may be going through a hectic time in their life for things that have nothing to do with you. So let's give ourselves and others the benefit of the doubt and the benefit of not having to define what something is from our more negative thought aspects, and just allow it to be and step into acceptance of, okay, higher power, help me to allow this to be whatever is the highest for me and this person, and the aspect of relationship that's best for both of us. Now, that being said, while it's a wonderful prayer and practice and mentality to have, it is a practice. It's not going to be the easiest necessarily at all times to accept that. So give yourself grace as you're going through that process as well. And when you can do this, this is where we step into the more adult levels of friendship, where almost all of us have these kinds of friends now, where you can go for weeks or months or sometimes years without really talking to someone or hanging out with them the way that you used to. But once you both meet up again, whether that's hanging out over a phone call or a Zoom or in person, it feels like no time has passed, because you've both respected each other's levels and growth processes, and you can meet back up again in the middle. This is not going to feel the easiest for those of us with codependency or unhealthy or insecure attachment styles at first or at all times. But once you can get into this practice of accepting it more, then you can really enjoy those times with friends or with family without having to stress so much in the middle or in the in-between period. So if you're going through a time right now where you need time and space, consider the types of relationships in your life, and consider which of those people you currently have the capability to express to, and which of those people are currently able to receive the expression to say, if and when it's relevant, I'm sorry, I haven't been able to get back to you, or I can't answer or hang out with you about this at this time. I've just been going through some things. You don't have to get specific at all times. And if and when you want to, and that's a trusted source for you to do that, then you have a wonderful opening to do that. But it would be lovely if we could get into more of this process of respectful communication. Now, that being said, again, you don't owe an explanation to anyone. So if we can drop that pretense and that shame factor of feeling like we have to or we're obliged to explain when we can't be in contact with people, that would be so helpful. And hopefully we're manifesting and allowing and growing more of the types of relationships in our lives where we don't always have to or feel the need or feel the demand there to explain. And others give us the same respect that we're working to give them in terms of, yeah, maybe we haven't heard from or gotten back to someone in a while, or they can check back up on us again if we're going through one of these periods in life, and hopefully also do so with the respect to say, I know you haven't gotten back to me about my last message yet, but I'm just thinking of you, sending love, no obligation to rush to get back to me. That's something that if you're wanting to reach out to someone again who hasn't maybe been able to get back to you yet, that's something you can try. Try it without a lot of frequency, because sending people a lot of messages, especially if they're in a dark night of the soul or growth or healing phase or hectic phase in their life, frequency of messages where they haven't been able to get back to you yet may add to stress. So that's something to keep in mind. And if you can, in these times, give yourself or the other person grace. And if you can't get back to, if you just don't have the energy to get back to someone or to reach out to someone, you can always do it through the heart as well. Remember, we have cords and attachments and points and modes of communication that go through the heart if we are truly connected with people and relationships in our life. And so we can go through a process of, if we don't have enough energy to send a physical message, or we don't have enough of the peace and mind and clarity to do that at this point in our lives, maybe when we're going to sleep or when we're doing our prayers, we can just tap into the heart for a second and send them love, and understanding that they haven't gotten back to us yet, or send them gratitude for their understanding when we can't get back to them yet in life. So these are practices that can help us to have more conscious and respectful relationships in life, and also help us to understand that all relationships are mirrors of our relationship with ourself and higher power as well. We all step in and allow ourselves to be involved in relationships to teach us about ourselves, about each other, and to even teach Source about themselves. Source meaning God or Goddess, higher power, however you resonate that to be. And when we can think of it like this, then I tend to think of it as a little bit easier for us to forgive our mistakes or the mistakes of the other if we can see it as a lesson rather than as an attack, because we can hold on to these things about attack or about judgment or about misunderstanding between ourselves and others, and that can add so much shame, so much darkness to an issue that really can be defined much more simply when we don't put our negative thought or feeling connotation definitions on it immediately, and we release the need to define what something is and move through it with higher power defining it with us in respect to our journey and the journey of the other person in our life, no matter how long that journey is meant to continue on our path together. Now, if you're going through a period where your relationships are quite confusing, or you may be mourning some relationships and confused as to why you're slipping out of resonance with others, you may want to reach out to myself or someone like me for a session to help you understand this more. I myself do offer quantum and Akashic Records reading sessions and passion pattern sessions, which can help you understand more of your own energy field, soul contracts, etc. So those are available on my website, Damsel Designs. That's DAMCL Designs.com. If you're ready to go even beyond the tapping into and understanding of those things and into actual personalized one-on-one energy healing techniques and practices, and perhaps even soul contract disengagements or redefinitions through the power of the Akashic Record, you may also want to reach out to me through the links in either the description or on my website, where you will find the form to contact me about quantum, Sikhem, and shamanic energy healing, or life and consciousness and spiritual empowerment coaching programs and packages. Those I do on an individual basis first to make sure that we're a good fit for such deep and highly powered works as we tap into your divine design. And so if you like, you can start with one of the sessions on my website and then see about expanding into those practices where we do the energy healing together and your consciousness coaching expansion together. I would love to work with more of you in this capacity, but whether we ever work together or not on a one-on-one basis, I am so grateful that you have been here today as we go through this channeling session and you tapping into more understanding and acceptance for the relationship styles and lessons and expansions in your own life. I'm so grateful that you're a listener here at Chat and Channel Session, because spending this time with me and my guides and others of like heart and mind means that you are expanding light for yourself, for those relationships and people in your life, and for those that will be inspired to see your growth and light. And if the people that are currently in your life are starting to resonate or fizzle out and don't have it in their capacity to currently honor and respect this, please know that there will be others when you can go through your healing process of releasement and mourning if you need to, and then making space for that next round of beautiful souls. They will enter. They will find you. You may go through some of these periods and lessons again. I'm not going to lie to you. But when you do, you go through a higher aspect of the spiral each time with more capability and more consciousness and more understanding and respect for yourself and others each time. And I'm going to be honest with you. If you are on this spiritual journey, a lot of us tend to go through or cycle through many different relationships or types of relationships, especially with friends and those we think of as soul family, because we are very dedicated to the practice of clearing karma. And a lot of relationships help us to clear karma in our lives. So if that is quote unquote the reason that certain people are in your life, release them and yourself with love. Perhaps they'll come back around to you when they are not so committed to being in that karmic pattern. But if not, you have done a major service and benefit to them and to yourself and to this overall process that we call life by completing that karma and allowing yourself to more gracefully and peacefully move to your next phase, and opening the door for the other person to do that as well, whether or not they're ready to walk through that door or not. We cannot force anyone to go through a next phase. We each make that decision for ourselves, which I know, if you are also someone who loves to be of service and helpful to others, can be a hard lesson to accept. But it is wonderful to respect everyone's soul sovereignty and aspects of the journey. And if you are finding that this is happening with groups of people in your life, with family or soul family groups of people in your life, you may be interested in a previous chat and channel session, which currently is only up in its older form on my YouTube channel at These Enlightened Edits, entitled Karmic Connections, Outgrowing Relationships, and Shifting Soul Groups. Because while all the concepts that we've discussed here today with individual one-on-one relationships can also apply to groups, there's some great information in that channeling as well that I think will really help you out if it's a phase that you're finding yourself in life. I'm so grateful again that you have decided to spend some of your journey here and learning from my guides and myself. Thank you for being a valued member of Chat and Channel Session, whether you are a paid subscriber or a free follower on any of the platforms that this streams on. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope you will also connect with me on my other social media platforms, whether that's on YouTube at These Enlightened Edits or on Instagram at These Enlightened Edits, where you can find spiritual inspiration on the daily. If you have a topic that you would like to suggest for a future chat and channel session, feel free to leave that in the comments, in a review, or by sending me a message on socials or through my website. And again, you know where to reach out to me on my website at Damsel Designs, DAMCLdesigns.com, for those types of spiritual sessions that are available for the application for energy healing, and where you will also find things like digital download, teaching tools, Enlighten merch, and so much more. I hope to see you next time around on Chat and Channel Session. And in the meantime, you can catch up with previous Chat and Channel Sessions, which are timeless topics for your spiritual enlightenment and mindfulness evolution. There's also a backlog of previous Chat and Channel Sessions in the playlist on my YouTube channel. I hope you enjoy that and enjoy the energies. For now, I will close this session. Be blessed with love, light, and light codes. Love, Danielle. Hashtag damsel at D's Enlightened Edits of damseldesigns.com. Remember to like this if you've liked it, and I will see you next time.